I love this example. It perfectly illustrates humanity's internal struggle with reality, because people really wish they could appreciate every moment of life. But it's simply not what's happening. They say the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's an appealing thought that no matter what happens, in the end, everything somehow always comes circling back to normal. Like there's an invisible natural order that takes care of it. It certainly calms the mind. But what if it's selective thinking on our part? When we choose not to see, in order to preserve our peace of mind? What if this concept isn't just a repeating cycle, and things are in fact spiraling out of control? Slowly and seamlessly. How would we notice when we're busy with distractions? When I think about great movies, something that always comes to my mind is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Shocking, I know. The thing is, I watched the movies as a teenager, and for a very long time I've been thinking how much cooler they would have been with more visual magic, action scenes and special effects, instead of extensive speeches about the significance of historical events and all other stuff. Basically more scenes like the one between Gandalf and the Balrog. Absolute cinema. Then the MCU came along and proved teenager me completely wrong, because while all MCU movies, being the superhero movies they are, have a big focus on special effects, that's not the reason why the MCU became so successful. And it certainly isn't the reason why its success has diminished over the years. The reason is storytelling and the delivery thereof. Special effects are only one part of the latter. Without the build-up and context, an action scene is utterly insignificant, because it lacks any sort of real impact on the story. It's like showing someone your favorite anime fight. And the response is probably going to be different depending on whether they have seen the anime already or not. Lord of the Rings and the first Iron Man movie managed to do something that is very rare not only in media, but in life in general. They create meaning. I heard people say that the reason they are so good is because they tell simple stories. But that's not the case at all. Lord of the Rings creates meaningful moments through its intricate storytelling and extensive lore. The world of Middle-earth is vast, and we don't know everything about it. Just like in real life, our own curiosity fuels the desire to know more. Aragorn's internal struggle and the burden of his heritage is complex enough to be its own story. And it is told as such within the Lord of the Rings trilogy, just as many other distinct stories within the trilogy. There's no way to tell which one of them is more important because all of them are told equally well. And imagine that, none of them try to smear the message across your face. Instead, they respect you as a human being, capable of drawing your own conclusions. I'm looking at you, modern media. Let me say it this way. Whatever Rings of Power was trying to do, I think it got its priorities wrong. Iron Man, on the other hand, focuses more on the character development of Tony Stark. But it's not just about him either. Tony starts out as a narcissist who lives for nothing but the moment. Dr. Ho Yinsen, the guy who saves his life twice and is ready to pay for this with his own life, makes him realize this. Because he sees the potential in Stark to do the right thing. His last words to Tony are, "Don't waste it. Don't waste your life." Coming from a man whose family died due to the weapons sold by Stark Industries. It's a story of redemption, of taking responsibility and trying to be better despite past mistakes, and of many other meaningful things. All the talk about weird woke messaging in media in recent years has its justification. Nobody ever came out of the cinema complaining about the message of a good movie. Because the people who make good movies know at least two things. The first is how to tell relatable stories in a relatable way. And the second is, everybody views things from their own point of view. Which is why discourses about good stories never really end. Everyone can participate in them and everyone does. At the very least, through their internal monologue. And everyone's opinion is justified in some sense. It may be a subjective point of view, or a substantiated claim to objectivity based on facts, or something in between. The important thing is that it encourages us to think for ourselves, and that we can have a civilized conversation about it. Lord of the Rings, the early MCU movies, and many other forms of media understood and valued this. However, Entertainment media has felt a little underwhelming in recent years, in terms of narrative, visual storytelling, values, and many more aspects, despite making huge progress in the special effects and action department. Theoretically. I mean, if VFX artists were given the necessary amount of time for their work at least. But that's a whole different topic. Anyway, the MCU movies used to have character development and depth, until they made the equation that more shows make more money, and ignored the fact that quantity does not equal quality. Now, people need guides to find out in which order they are supposed to watch this convoluted mess, while meaning has left on its journey altogether, into a multiverse where anything can happen just because why not, and therefore carries approximately as much significance as the words of politicians. Now that we hopefully got that sorted out, let's look at where our society is currently drifting. And boy oh boy, is it drifting. I'm gonna start with a bold take here. Social media is the pinnacle of shallowness. Here's an example, and I know the unhealthy obsession with looks and all the stupid filters are a great target. But we're not going to go with that. How about some carpe diem instead? Because some people really like the idea of living life to its fullest extent. They love to spread carpe diem all over the place. With all-time classics like The Old Person who tells you to cherish your time. Live every day of your life like it's your last. I love this example. It perfectly illustrates humanity's internal struggle with reality. Because people really wish they could appreciate every moment of life. But it's simply not what's happening. Instead, a lot of times our reaction looks more like, "Yeah, thanks, Granny. Now let me continue looking at other posts for the next several hours." We are capable of both. And that's where the struggle comes from. Because there really are moments in our lives that make us feel like it's full of opportunities waiting to be seized. Only when these moments pass, we shift back into default mode, turn around and suddenly feel silly for being inspired by them in the first place. It's like the classic story of children who still dare to dream, versus their parents who have given up on their dreams a long time ago. At the beginning of every story of success, there are people with reasons that motivate them. They set out to do something because it carries meaning to them. The journey may be challenging. It may put their beliefs and their resilience to the test. And in order to succeed, they have to evolve as human beings. Their beliefs may crumble and new ones may take their place. They may change, or they may be challenged and reinforced over and over, until they guide them to success, or to a deeper realization. Now, where is this journey in our modern world? Actually, it's everywhere. And most people don't make it. Many either never find their meaning, lose sight of it at some point in their life, or are unable to overcome the challenges. Some are lucky enough to find it and let it guide them to success, whatever that may be. As individuals and as a society, we suffer from a lack of meaning. The result of this suffering is the unending search for more extreme forms of distraction. It's visible in movies, music, video games, and to some extent, even in people nowadays. Way too many things try to stand out and become viral by just being more extreme. Obviously to reach a broader audience for more success, while deeper meaning is sacrificed for it. And how exactly is that a problem? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Because you're not creating a profound experience by trying to shock people with superficial tricks. You're doing it by going into the depth of things. By bringing up nuanced topics that resonate with people because they are carrying them within themselves. But in order to do so, you need to be a profound human being yourself. To have lived a meaningful life. And the expertise to be able to share experiences. That's something you can't fake. Even on social media people notice it. At the very pinnacle of shallowness. And you certainly can't do it by trying to cater to kids and teenagers. Like corporate decision makers seem to have decided based on numbers and market studies. The argument here writes itself really. Kids like flashy stuff, sure. But they also like sweets. Doesn't mean that it's right to let them eat as much of it as they can, because that's what bad parenting looks like. So what are we doing going in circles trying to find the reasons for why kids nowadays can't focus on anything for more than a few seconds? It's plainly obvious. And sure enough, it is also the responsibility of their parents. But oftentimes parents, if you're lucky to have both, are busy working to provide for their families these days. Many of them also don't have deeper insight into the topic. But one does not need fancy statistics to look at the development of households over the last decades and see the trend. We are living through it. So are we really going to blame the parents? while their kids are being targeted by predatory psychological tricks from a swarm of mega corporations with plenty of resources? And the agenda is very simple: make more money by any means. It's hard to overlook the obvious, really. Industry standards. But you don't have to believe me on this, because the European Union seems to have come to a similar conclusion, which is why it's taking legal measures against these practices. Links in the description. I guarantee you, it's an interesting read. Humanity has mastered specialization long ago, so we keep specializing and making money at the cost of everything else. And it shows. Looks like continuously hollowing out everything that once carried meaning has started showing its effect on us, by creating a society of people who think that life is becoming more and more meaningless. Shocking development, really. Art imitates life. So when we view it as a reflection of our inner world, it is a reliable indicator for exactly that. Without carrying meaning, a piece of media is shallow and forgettable. And as controversial as it may sound, this is equally true for human beings. There's already far more media being produced than anybody could keep up with. And the more there is, the less meaning each individual piece is carrying. Because we're simply not getting into the deeper layers of what's essentially supposed to be art anymore. We are the limiting factor. Because we're too busy chasing the next thing due to our fear of missing out. And that's the point. There is no need in trying to catch as much of it as we can. This has never been the goal. The value of art lies in what we make of it. Aspects of it that stick with us for weeks, months, or even years. The things we become aware of if we take the time to reflect upon them, instead of seeking the next thing to consume. Experiencing meaning is a very human ability. And as with any ability, we either use it or we lose it. Going back in time is neither possible nor desirable, really. But it might very well be time to slow down our consumption and learn to compare who we want to be and who we are becoming, both as human beings and as a society. There's nobody who can ultimately hold us to higher standards, but we ourselves. And in our responsibility lies our freedom to become who we want to be. Thank you very much for watching. Please keep in mind that the goal is to encourage positive change. All the commentary is really just a means to that end. Also, I would like to improve the quality of the videos on this channel, so I'm very thirsty for feedback. Why would you say it like that?